Live from downtown Vancouver at the Vancouver Film School campus, it's time for EP Live. Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool, and it's a very cool and very fun job, especially when we have people in the house here at 390 West Hastings. Thank you very much for coming down. Thank you. We have got a great show for you guys today. We've got a couple of fantastic friends of Electric Playground. One of them is named Chris Stewart. He's from Kerberos Productions. I always screw up his name. He's going to kill me. We're going to be talking about his new game, The Pit Infinity. And I've known Chris forever. We actually used to share an office building, and he was in demo material that we used to use for Electric Playground. Awesome dude, and can't wait to have him on. And then our old friend Marissa Roberto is going to be on a little bit later on the show, beaming in over the internet to tell us about some of the things that she is most excited about at E3. But before we get into our great conversations, we've got a little bit of news to get to in the rundown, and this one's going out to Chris Kioski, who says, what an awesome guest. He was talking about Steve Reckschaftner, who was on the other day talking about the glory days of EA Sports Big, which I miss very much. All right, let's get started with your rundown. Nintendo isn't waiting for E3 to unleash some very effective news about one of their biggest games. Earlier today, they held a special Nintendo Direct presentation dedicated to Pokemon Sword and Shield, revealing that the new games will hit the Switch on November 15th. They also unveiled new Pokemon, including the legendary Zacian and Zamazenta. You guys can correct me anywhere you want to. Who, like the title of the games themselves, are armed with a sword or shield. Unlike last year's simplified Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Sword and Shield are more in-depth RPGs, and they're part of the core Pokemon series, making them the first Pokemon RPGs for the Switch, or any console for that matter. All that extra hardware means bigger and more intricate levels, big battles, larger environments, and more gameplay variety, and a stronger emphasis on exploration reminiscent of another big Switch title, Breath of the Wild. Expect more details on Sword and Shield at E3 next week. And this is the thing, Nintendo has revealed a whole bunch of stuff already. We know they're going to have the Pokemon games, the Zelda game, the remake of the GBA game. We're going to have Animal Crossing. It feels like a lot of their big reveals are going to be there, so I am super psyched to see what they're going to surprise us with. They might not have a big one to surprise us. I mean, they've got like 5 massive games coming out for the Switch this year. When I look at Pokemon Sword and Shield, it to me feels like it's the Pokemon developers unbridled. They have all the horsepower, and they can sort of envision and dream up these Pokemon battles as big as they want to go, and it looks amazing. It looks like this is the crystallization, no pun intended, of the Pokemon games we have wished for a very long time. And hopefully they don't let us down, but they look amazing and clearly taking inspiration from massive games like Breath of the Wild. And, you know, I think the reach, the ambition that Nintendo has had with recent titles, not only with that, with Yoshi's Crafted World, with Super Mario Odyssey, you know, they want to, this development team, which has stayed in the kind of handheld market for a long time, they want to play with the big boys with the new Pokemon game, and I think they will. I think Sword and Shield is going to be incredible. Sword or Shield. Let me get that correct. Now, online hackers have forced another big studio to unveil one of their big E3 games a little bit early. After details on the next Watch Dogs game leaked online, Ubisoft officially confirmed that it's on the way. No footage has been released, but they have said that the new game is called Watch Dogs Legion and will take place in London, England, the surveillance capital of the world. That's all Ubisoft has said for now, but the game will be shown off during their E3 presentation on Monday. Now, rumors about this game started circulating months ago, and it felt like a pretty surefire kind of idea. You know, it feels like when you talk about any kind of hacking or surveillance, which is a huge part of, the Watch Dogs experience, London feels like a natural home for a game like this, and I'm excited to see, because, you know, I have this theory, when you let a developer have 3 kicks at a concept, usually that third one is pretty damn special, like, you know, the third Burnout game or the third Grand Theft Auto. There's lots of, you know, reference points that we can point to in the history of video games where that makes a big difference when you get a developer having that chance to go at it again. And hopefully London is third time's the charm. You know, not that Watch Dogs 2 was that bad. Even the first Watch Dogs was pretty fun. But Watch Dogs 3, I think this is Ubisoft's opportunity to prove it. and to really kind of showcase what this thing is all about and what differentiates itself from the other, open world games that they themselves make, but also games like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead. There's tons of competition. It used to just be like you'd be competing with, a couple titles in Grand Theft, but now if there's an open world game from everybody, including the aforementioned Nintendo with Breath of the Wild. So let's see what happens with Watch Dogs in London. I'm excited about that. I do hope they don't lean too far and too much on the Guy Ritchie tropes. I don't want it to be Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I don't want it to be the Getaway remake, even though those were awesome in their own right. And what Guy Ritchie used to do was awesome in its own right. I'm a big fan of his early work. I want there to be stuff that really surprises us. Maybe taking a little bit of that as influence, but shocking us with some new ideas and sort of what a modern day London is, or maybe just a little bit into the future kind of London. I think that would be rad. Speaking of London, don't expect to be seeing the bat signal at E3. Batman Arkham developer Rocksteady Games will be skipping the event this year. Boo! And won't be showing off their long-awaited next project. That's according to Rocksteady co-founder Sefton Hill, who says that they're staying home to continue working on their unannounced new game, and there's no word on when we'll be seeing it. It's rumored to be another DC superhero outing, possibly featuring Batman alongside other heroes like Superman, although it could be something completely different. We'll just have to keep on waiting. It's pretty clear to me that Rocksteady is moving into the we're going to ship one big game per console life cycle kind of scenario. Although next life cycle for the consoles might be the last, especially if we're all moving towards streaming. But clearly, Rocksteady is kind of a victim of its own success, and they have to one-up themselves. And that can be harrowing. That can be a very hard thing for mega successful studios like that. And they need to not only take the time, but they got to hire up, they got to bring in hundreds of people, and the escalation in the technologies that all of these new, hardware cycles mean for developers is they have to kind of, learn it all over again, and then they got to train a bunch of junior people to kind of get into their systems and work with all the software rendering pipelines and the engines and stuff, the technologies that they've had. And Rocksteady really benefited, from the first Arkham Asylum, from being kind of an indie house. They were kind of small. They were kind of just figuring it out, and they had a very tight team that knew they had something to prove with that first Batman game, and they did. And they got another kick at it and grew to make City, and they grew again for Arkham Knight. But now the pressure's on them to knock it out of the park. And if they're putting Superman into this game, man, that is some heavy pressure. So I don't blame them if they're not ready to show it yet. That's okay. We'll wait. Now there is another rumor, and I don't know if you caught any of this, Blake, or if we have footage of anything around this. But Warner Brothers Montreal has been sort of intimating and hinting that they've got a Bat project of their own, and the speculation is we may see something on that game at E3. And I do have an appointment with Warner Brothers. So far, they've only said they're showing me a Lego thing, but I'm really hoping I'm going to see some bat ears, not just Lego versions, in whatever they've got to show me. I'm getting excited, guys. After sending Star Wars to hyperspace, it looks like Disney is taking their time with the other big Lucasfilm property. The next Indiana Jones movie isn't slated to begin filming until 2020. Star Harrison Ford made the announcement while speaking at the launch of the new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge attraction at Disneyland, saying that cameras will begin rolling next year. Several outlets initially misreported, saying that he said filming will begin next week, but that would be a little premature, as next year makes more sense given the film's planned release date of July 8th, 2021. This means Harrison Ford will be 78 years old during production and will be just a few weeks away from turning 79 when the film hits theaters. You go, Harrison Ford! I don't care how old you are, buddy! I love you! I think it's awesome that we've got almost an octogenarian that's ready to put on the fedora and go kick some Nazi ass. Or maybe they're going to be commies. I don't know. I don't know where they're setting it. But I'm there. Certainly the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has its flaws and faults, and many people have written all of that off. But God, it's Harrison Ford, people. he has proven himself. He gets all the rope he wants to play with, man. All the whip he wants to play with. I can't wait for that. And I think what's happening is Spielberg is he's doing West Side Story, I think, the musical. That's his next movie in the pipeline. So again, a director ready to bounce from whatever. Remember he did Ready Player One 5 minutes ago? The guy's incredible. So hopefully, it's a little less extraterrestrial with the next Indiana Jones movie, and it's still fun. And we'll see. Did everybody see that he said that once he goes, Indy goes? He doesn't want anybody to be Indiana Jones. Epic quote. Yeah, it was really, really a funny quote. So good luck with that, everybody involved with Indiana Jones 5. I will be there with my ticket for day one. You count on it. All right, you guys, we've got our guests coming up right after this. Let's take a look at this day and everything cool. Welcome to This Day and Everything Cool for June 5th. On this day in 1995, one of the best RPGs ever made landed stateside. The JRPG Earthbound was released in North America on the Super Nintendo following its release in Japan the previous year. The game was actually called Mother 2 in its home country, serving as a sequel to the 1989 NES game Mother, but since that was never released outside of Japan, Nintendo renamed the game Earthbound for its North American debut. The story focuses on a young boy named Ness who battles a mysterious alien force called Gygus, and the game is notable for exploring dark and cerebral themes that contrast with its colorful visuals, upbeat music, and silly sense of humor. Unfortunately, despite critical praise, Earthbound sold poorly in North America, and as such, it was the only game in the series released in English-speaking territories until 2015. That's when Nintendo released the first game on the Wii U Virtual Console. A third game in the series, Mother 3, launched on the Game Boy Advance in 2006, but has yet to be given an official release worldwide. We have got a great guest, everybody. His name is Chris Stewart, and he comes to us from Kerberos Studios, and he is a producer, and he's made lots and lots of games. Kerberos isn't your only stop. Everyone, please welcome Chris Stewart. Good to see you, my friend.
How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. Thanks for coming down on short notice and
thanks for having me.
Talking to us about the Pit Infinity.
Yes.
Now, the last time you were on EP Live, which was just a little bit more than a year ago, you brought in a board game.
Yeah.
And you showed off a whole board game. We played a little bit of it. You showed me the little pieces. You
That's
gave me
right.
some. It was very sweet of you. How did the board game do, first of all?
The board game did very good. We did it as a Kickstarter.
Yep.
And the Kickstarter completed, and as of this very moment, it's whatever magic happens at the factory, it's going through the magic. Whatever Keebler elves make board games, they're making the board game right now. So
people that make or little creatures that make people happy make
yes,
board games.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's where that's at right now. And in the meantime, well, that's me with emails back and forth, and then the Keebler elves and the Kerberos Productions offices are working on Pit Infinity. So.
Oh, that's cool. So when you came up with the board game, was it a question of you wanting to also have this video game extension right from the get-go, or was that something that came out of working with the board game concept?
It's basically we've created sort of a franchise Mobius strip.
Yep.
So a few years back we made The Pit, which was a straight-up sci-fi roguelike in the classic style, top-down, turn-based. That one is the one that we turned into
so
the
you
board
started
game.
as a video game.
That's right.
Went to
video
a
game
board
to a
game.
board game, and now we're back to video game again. In this case, we've done it's a little unique. It's very unique. We took everything that everybody loved about the traditional roguelike, The Pit, and we moved it into Unreal. So what we've got is a atmospheric first-person multiplayer co-op roguelike, if you can parse all that together into what it plays like. So yeah, that's basically it was going from the old school top down, godlike turn-based mode, bringing it into real time and into your own point of view.
It kind of plays like a Doom roguelike. Is that kind of what you're shooting for? No pun intended.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to put it. The core of it is the original Pit. So I mean, we've got. Most shooters, you have a selection of guns. We've got dozens and dozens of guns.
Right.
We've got different ammunition that goes into them, traps, items, crafting, monsters. So that's the core of the original game, and you saw that in the board game as well.
Yes.
With just so many cards to play out and get a good random replay experience out of it. And in this case, that's where we started. But yeah, we got a little pinch of Doom. We all like to talk System Shock a lot, especially that kind of moody tone that we're going for.
And the role-playing elements of it, too. And
exactly.
The multiple choice. You can play as different classes.
There's 3 character classes, okay. Yeah. Again, drawn from both the board game and the original game. Like,
right.
Basically, if you're familiar with either of the other two, you know exactly what these are and exactly how to jump into them. It's just that we've brought it so that the monsters are coming right at your face, rather than a card that's thrown down in front of you, or you see it attacking your little guy on the screen.
Which should people start with if they're curious in, because you guys have at Kerberos have a very, very vast experience based making strategy games, and you're making thinking person's video games.
We do like strategy stuff. We do like anything with like kind of some tactical thinking to it.
Yep. You also made a very cool kaiju game, which I really enjoyed.
Kaiju Go-Go, that's right. That's on Steam if you ever want to go step on Electric Playground.
Yeah. Our old offices, they put our old offices in there, which is awesome.
People should try whatever appeals to them most. I mean, our office is, we're all-around gamers. I think most people are all-around gamers, but everybody's got a different personal Venn diagram of maybe they're more... if you're attracted to the first-person shooter type stuff, try out Pit Infinity. I mean, you can go get it on Steam now.
Yeah.
If you're more of a ponderer and a thinker, you can go back to the original Pit, because, of course, that's available on Steam easily. And I think Good Old Games, all the good digital retailers.
When did the Pit initially come out?
Ooh, that would be, I think, 5 years ago now.
Okay. So it's
getting old. The noggin's not there
getting
anymore.
Experience.
Yes, there we go.
Is the Pit would you say it's like a tactical strategy game?
No, it's roguelike.
Yeah. Well,
the only difference is we used our sci-fi bits and bobs that we like. That's sort of Stars universe from that old original game of ours.
Yes.
And I mean that old, not in the bad sense, but it's a
that's what kind of
it's a veteran
company,
game
right?
now. Yeah, exactly. That was our first outing, and that whole world building that we did there is what was the seed of the Pit. Yeah.
Awesome. So it's a top-down roguelike, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's what people are familiar with. It's got the top-down view, and you have shadowed areas that you haven't seen yet, and line of sight, etc.
Very good.
Yeah.
So clearly, that was a successful game in its own right. That it kept you
did
guys
very well
kind of
for us.
Yeah, thinking of other ways that you could explore all of this.
Yeah, I mean, we lived in that one for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, because we kept updating it. Going back to the beginning, PC games, you put it out, eventually little bits and bobs come out that you want to touch and fix and all that. So we've always married our updates with content updates. So there's always been little updates with more monsters, more items, etc. But we did DLC of extra characters.
Cool.
And that's, again, so in the Pit you start with 4 of those original character classes in the board game. And again, we designed it so that we'll be expanding out into those guys. And same with the Pit Infinity. You start with 3 of them, but as the game progresses on, we'll be looking to bring in other character classes. So,
cool.
Something for everybody.
So when you transposed a lot of that work to the board game, was that a challenge for you guys, or was that something that sort of came naturally and you understood the principles and you obviously were fans of other board games and you could kind of figure out your path that way? Or
both.
Yeah.
I mean, designing the game was quite natural, but it wasn't without challenges. The challenges was, if people are familiar with the Pit as what it originally was on the PC,
right?
How do we still convey that feeling, but we've boiled it down to a single board game,
right?
Especially since the original game, and just like the Pit Infinity, has dynamic levels. You're never gonna, every time you go to level 1, it's gonna randomly generate the hallways differently. So you'll never be it won't be Pac-Manning your way through this the hallways. But you can't do that with a board game, like a fold-out board, because that's fairly static. So that was the biggest challenge, was kind of distilling the idea of going through hallways and rooms. But once we tried a couple different ways. Once we got that, when I was here showing it to you, it was very easy then. The randomized monsters, the randomized items, all that came fairly easily to us.
Awesome. Did all of that prior work then help inform the Pit Infinity? Because this is, I think, your team's first crack at like a an FPS style game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it all in all, it came very, very easy. For starters, working in Unreal's been really, really good for us in terms of translating the 2D stuff to generate a 3D world.
Yep.
So that's been working real well for us.
First time you guys have used Unreal?
No, we have used it in the past.
Okay.
In a couple of different places, both official and unofficial project stuff we haven't talked about. But this is the first one public that we've put out. And it was really, really, really good way to just start with something 2D static and build it out into this 3D. I kind of lost the thread of what you were originally asking me, but in terms of did the old inform the new?
Yeah. Or is it start from scratch and you got to design for the format?
No. That was working fairly well, just because by that point we're steeped in what the pit is and what you're supposed to be experiencing. So there were some design challenges. I didn't want to use the same word again, but there we are.
Welcome to my nightmare, buddy.
Hey, quick, a thesaurus. Some design.
We forgot the prompters again. Blake, no prompters. We don't use prompters.
Moving from turn-based to real-time.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge to tweak that to get it to where it felt right.
Yep.
Finding that balance between what people find familiar with going, when people go keyboard and mouse for a first-person shooter, there's an expectation of things there, but at the same time, we wanted it to run smoothly in terms of playing, our roguelike and running into new monsters.
There's so many shooters on console now, and I went for the controller because I'm so much more used to playing with the controller, but it's just mouse and keyboard right now. Could you ever envision this being a controller game?
I can envision anything.
Yeah? Okay, so it could make it to the consoles at some point?
Yeah, I mean, our background is very PC heavy.
Yep.
And that's our bread and butter. That's been our legacy for a lot of our games.
Push Guys Vancouver says the pit is a great game.
Hey.
You got 2 exclamation marks. Right
Thank
there.
you.
That's good. And somebody else whitelisted it. Sam I am 11 or wishlisted it. Right
there you go.
There you
perfect. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
No, it was. Again, I lost the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I like the adulation, though. I'll take the adulation. On other consoles.
Yeah, on consoles.
Things like that. Yeah, we actually will be talking about putting it into the controller. Again, being on Steam. That's a big thing with Steam. We even, the original Pit 2D, we put it on a controller.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Cool.
Because, that is a big thing to be able to sit down and... When Steam started, nobody had a big flat screen on their entire wall. Now everybody has it, so playing your PC games on the wall is a lot more fun than it used to be, and the controller's a big part of it.
Had you done an early access game before?
We did a war game, and I'm trying to remember if we did early access on that or not. And again, I apologize. The old wisdom is not helping me in that regards.
You're thinking of game stuff.
Yeah.
Your brain is filled with game things, which is fine.
Yeah. So
but early access can be excruciating, I've been told.
It's
because you're getting feedback every day, right?
Which is fine.
You're good with that?
No, we're
okay.
I mean, it's that give and take. We the social contract with developers is we let you come talk to us as long as everybody understands that that's like a fire hose of different people, right? Like it's not a singular voice coming at us.
And how do you parse that? How do you kind of take that and turn it into useful dynamic changes to the thing that you're building together?
It's about what you'd expect. Sometimes people come to us with ideas which are kind of their wish list stuff, but they haven't really thought about their keen idea versus the kind of game we're making.
Right.
And sometimes these things don't mix, or some of them are us going, this is what we're going for, that doesn't quite fit, so we're like, it's a good idea, but it's not where we're going.
I have an idea.
All right.
Jetpacks.
in a hallway.
Jetpacks make every game better. It's
anybody at the office who's watching, start working on the crushing yourself into the ceiling animation right now. But I
happen to like jetpacks.
I will say, jetpack suggestion aside, we get a lot of good feedback where we're like, you know what, we hadn't quite thought about that.
Yeah.
And your feedback was great.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to imply.
That's why I do this.
Though it's funny, I'm making fun of the hallways. We're doing little updates, so people will see little iterations, and again, just like before, new weapons and like we just put in different ammo types. So that's always fun, putting in exploding bullets versus regular bullets and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
But we've designed our early access into 3 big updates. We're through 2 of them, and there's one more left, and that one actually has. Largely what we're doing is we're putting in the final floors, the final battle floors, and then biomes, which are these bigger open, rather than a hallway, it's where they've tried to, the aliens of that built this facility way back when have tried to build a bit of outdoors, indoors sort of thing.
It kind of sounds like a dream, because you had a big success with a game, you got to explore it in a new direction, so you stayed with your property, and now you're getting to do that again. And in some... It's not just like sequels and iterative, new projects. It's like trying a whole different angle on everything.
Yeah, I mean, and part of that might be, the indie space that we're in.
Yeah.
It does allow us to try to think outside the box with our own stuff, because it is our own project. I'll tell you right now, every developer will tell you that they always have a pile of ideas that are just waiting for the right opportunity.
Yeah.
And the great part about the Pit being as popular as it is, and it allows us to do the board game and the Pit Infinity, out now in early access on Steam, is that some of those ideas that we have sitting in the background are continuing. What can we do with it next? So
cool.
But the thing is
so
got to finish this one first. So
how are people enjoying the game? What's give us a sense of some of the feedback that you're getting around?
It's good. Most people have really, really gotten it right away. And part of that was, again, that tweaking we did to, even though you go hands-on and first person and make it so that it's really accessible that way, if you're familiar with first-person shooters, a lot of people really, really quickly got the idea that when you shoot at something, it's not as simple as if you can get your mouse pointer over it, it's automatically a hit equal to X amount. Again, the role-playing comes in.
A little Fallout-esque in a way.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the hit points, and you see that there's a lot of stat tracking.
We let you do the aiming, and provided you hit, then your skills take over and tell you how much you've hit. And
that's cool.
How good you are, depending on the weapon you're using and all that sort of thing.
That's cool.
That's
How big is your company?
We're not a terribly big company.
Yeah.
We're only about north of a dozen.
That's all right. And everybody's working on the Pit Infinity right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
And when do you expect that the version 1.0 or whatever, the final
final one,
the launch game?
We're looking at about a month and a half to the last big update.
Yep.
Which is when, and then we'll go.
That'll be Battle Royale mode.
Maybe. Jetpacks, Battle Royale.
I don't. Those are like, we can't use those jokes after this year, right? Those are like done jokes. Can't joke about Battle Royale anymore after this.
About a month and a half to get the last big chunk out, and then we'll do some final balance tweaking, debugging, and all that, and that's when we'll go final, and that'll be the last price jump. We've structured it that each big chunk into the game, we kind of up the price a little bit.
So if you get in now,
you get in early.
Here, let me interpret this. If you buy it now, it's the cheapest price you can pay.
It's good to get in now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but you will get the whole game later. Right now, it's a lot of fun because the last big update was the multiplayer.
Right.
So
if you get it now, you're also helping to define the improvements of
that's
the game.
right. Well, I mean, by definition, early access is helping us work towards that end goal, helping and all that. And
do you guys have Twitch cameras and stuff like that in your space?
We've done a little bit of that. Actually, the really cool part is, again, going back to the pedigree of the game. The Pit has there's some real hardcore roguelike guys on Twitch.
Yeah.
Tornus, Lethal Frag. I'm trying to think. There's lots of names to rattle off there. Those guys played the heck out of the first one, and we've they've started playing the Pit Infinity now too. So
Awesome.
yeah, every once in a while it's out there. And like I said, if you've ever wanted to scream with your friends because a moon bear has jumped out and started to eat your leg, that's all in there now. And I can't stress it enough. It's a lot of fun with your headphones on and somebody is somewheres in the distance yelling, "Help, help, it's eating me." So
Awesome. So next time you come, moon bear plushies.
yeah.
Yeah? All right.
I think every game we've made, somebody wants plushies. So
Okay.
I'll have to work on that.
Question from Jamie.
With Epic announcing a new store, does that have you thinking about alternatives to Steam?
It does, actually. We started on Steam prior to them making that announcement, but of course we're in their space, running the Epic Dev environment, and every time I load it up, it's telling me what new stuff is coming. And, so that is something we're looking at, yeah.
The question was about the store for anybody that didn't hear. We don't have a Phil Donahue.
Oh, sorry. I should
microphone
have
here.
reiterated
Nobody knows
that.
who Phil Donahue is. Like, we got some kids that just graduated from VFS. Are like,
Sarah
who the
Jesse
hell-
Raphael?
Who
Nobody?
the hell is Phil Donahue? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, the game is out now.
Yep.
And
Come play it with us.
And it's going to be final. You think by the end of the year? You think?
Oh, well before the end
Well
of the year.
before the
yeah,
end of the
yeah,
year.
yeah. Like I said, we're about a couple months away from that.
Can you tell us what you're going to do next?
I will say one of the things closest to the top of the pile is going then full circle back to the traditional roguelike, but now instead of doing it 2D art elements, do it with 3D art elements. So we'll go
Okay.
back to the turn-based roguelike.
Okay. More Pit?
More Pit. And then...
You found a home here, man.
Yeah.
You guys did the what was the Sword and
the Sword of the Stars?
Sword and the Stars. You did
Yeah.
a bunch of games in that genre. So
In
it's
that-
kind of a similar kind of thing here with the Pit, I guess. Eh?
Yeah, same thing, same universe. And again, continuing with the universe, everybody keeps asking when we're going to return to space combat, and we're always looking for that opportunity. So that's
Cool.
that could come along soon too. I don't know.
Roguelike space combat with
Yeah,
jetpacks.
yeah.
We are designing games here, people.
I'm underlining
We're doing that
jetpacks
on
twice.
EP right here.
Thanks
Thank
a lot,
you so
man.
much, Chris.
All right, man.
You rock, buddy. So check out the Pit Infinity, and right now I've got a review of something very cool out there. This is the Oculus Quest. All right, you guys, I've had some real heads-on time with the Oculus Quest, so it's time for me to give you my thoughts on this device, but it is still in early days. It's still evolving as a new piece of consumer technology and as a new entree into virtual reality, and I think it's probably one of the smartest things that Oculus has done, and I tweeted this a little while ago after I'd had a bunch of hours with the headset on my head, is that I wish that VR in its current sort of state had started with the Oculus Quest. I think it would have been a lot easier to get people excited about this as, an emergent medium if we had technology that was so unencumbered as the Quest is. You just take it out of the box, you charge it up, you stick it on your head. You might have to adjust where the positioning of the lenses are for your eyeballs, but the audio actually comes right from the headset itself. You don't have to put big cumbersome headphones on or anything like that add to the weight on your noggin. You've just got your screen, it's got cameras pointing out, and you've got your two Oculus Touch controllers in your hands, which are fantastically designed. It's not just about shooting and pointing and you actually can pick up stuff, and because of all of the different button configurations, it actually feels like you're squeezing and grabbing stuff with these controllers. So incredibly designed. And that's it, man. You are off to the races in VR land, and it's incredible. And the remarkable way that the hardware and the software work together to kind of get you into VR is just an amazing experience unto itself. Putting the Guardian down on the floor and making sure that you're not walking past it and walking into furniture. And if you happen to pass through the grid-based sort of system that they put up for you, they will immediately cut to some black and white kind of grainy horror movie video to show you that, no, you're getting too close to your flat screen, you're going to scratch it with your Oculus Touch, so don't do that. I think that's just brilliant. Honestly, I feel like that should be a part of every piece of VR going forward, whether it's tethered or not, because whether you're tethered or not, you're gonna trip or run into something or potentially kill yourself when you lock off all your field of view and your vision like that, so why not put camera sensors on there? So that was brilliant. The sensors on the headset itself take all the data in and create the sensor information to give you 6 degrees of freedom when you're in the Oculus Quest headset. So that means you can look everywhere and you can move anywhere and you can come back into your space. And when you're playing a game like Beat Saber and it's not just slashing to the rhythm of the music and looking like a super badass, super cool person as you're dancing, and super cool. People all around you just thinking, wow, is that person cool, dancing and slicing. You won't even care about that shit because you're having so much fun in Beat Saber. Beat Saber's incredible. But not only are you slicing and hacking and stabbing, but you're also dodging walls and ducking under things, and all of that is competently registered within the headset, and it's phenomenal. Games like Vader Immortal, where you're actually having to lightsaber through different challenge sequences and interact with spaceship stuff. You're walking around inside of a spaceship and pressing buttons. It's so cool. Robo Recall, where you're teleporting to different vantage points, and you're not just shooting at robots that are coming at you in just the most realistic light gun shooter way, but you're actually dodging and stepping out of the way and grabbing them and ripping them apart and throwing them. It really immerses you in experiences like that. Even Angry Birds, where you're picking up a slingshot and you're kind of shooting birds at different constructions and watching them all topple. You know, we've all played Angry Birds in some variation or another, but it's a whole other thing when you're in virtual reality and you can zip around the object and look at it from different angles and different perspectives. And the fact that you don't have to adjust anything and you're in that world is really what's remarkable. There's actually quite a bit of content already available in the store. There's lots of games. There's lots of pieces of software that will allow you to watch VR-enabled video. There's interactive art experiences and stuff in there. Some of it has been tailored and tapered to the specs of the Oculus Quest because it doesn't quite have the horsepower or the resolution that you're going to get in other devices like the Oculus Rift. But what's exciting about this is that it kind of becomes a very palatable presentation to someone that's on the fence around VR. They don't have to buy a computer. They don't even have to buy a PlayStation 4. They don't have to buy anything else to experience some pretty damn close to state-of-the-art VR experiences. And that's what's so impressive about this device. It comes in a couple of price points and memory configurations. You can go up to 128 gigabytes. You're going to be spending a little bit more. It's $400 US, which is not cheap, but the issues around the Quest really stem from the fact that we've had a taste of better resolution and better fidelity from other VR headsets like the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, and now they've got the Rift S out there. But of course, those systems are cabled to computers, and that's a drag. It's a drag to have to put up sensors to be able to get your body data and transmit that back into the software in an accurate way. You don't have to do any of that with the Oculus Quest. Now, I don't think that the Quest is perfect. I think that because all of the circuitry and componentry and the magic of the Quest is in the headset, it means that the headset's a little bit heavy, and you can strap it and tighten it and put it as much under your head as you want to, but it's still going to kind of lean forward a little bit because of all of the stuff that's in there. And it also made some pretty big indentations in my face. I had big red marks in my face after playing this for a few hours. But that's the thing, it's pretty hard to take off. It's really compelling content. It's pretty hard to just say, okay, I'm done. You get really sucked in, and the freedom is part of the invigoration. But be prepared for your face to get a little red and your hair to get super messy and for you to get quite sweaty. You might want to have the appropriate cleaning items around you if you're going to be sharing this with family members or friends or whatever. It will get you hot and bothered. And I also did find that sometimes I lost a little bit of tracking, and like I was playing Creed, and for some reason I got too close to the punching bag, and then the world just went woo, and it's always weird when you're inside VR and something goes wrong and everything gets broken and shaken around like that, and you're like, what the hell is happening? Yeah, and that's like, okay, can't play that anymore, you got to take that off. But I didn't find that too often, and I think what's going to happen is that as software makers get a little bit more accustomed to this hardware, it's going to get tighter and tighter. I don't think the Quest is VR in finished form. I don't think it is, this is it. This is as good as it's ever going to be. I think what this is, honestly, is this is the first real, tangible, accessible, easy to express VR choice for a lot of people. And it's super fun, especially when you pair it with something like Beat Saber, which is a sublime experience. I don't know if this is going to be the massive major unit seller that is going to change the majority of people's opinion around VR. I think everybody kind of looks at it and goes, oh, that's really cool, but it's expensive, or there's too many things in it, or I look dorky when I have all that stuff on, so I'm going to kind of wait a little while. I don't think Quest necessarily changes that whole sort of public perception, but I think it gets us the closest we've been to making that change, and it's the easiest sell for anyone. This is definitely one where I feel like I've wanted to bring this with me, where I'm seeing friends and things. And I have done that. I brought it into the EP live set just so Johnny could take a look at it, and we had him playing it on set. That's what's cool about Oculus Quest. It's one to share, and it's one to easily jump right into. And I think, honestly, for all the technology that you get, the price is right. Even in Canada, which when you do the conversion, it ends up costing over $500 for this. I still think that's a lot of technology, and you're going to have a lot of fun jumping into these games. I'm going to give the Oculus Quest, from what I've seen so far, a 9 out of 10. We're still trying to get connected to our buddy Marissa Roberto, and we will. The internet is giving us a little bit of grief right now, but don't you worry. We've got a buried treasure for you. Okay, 2 minutes. Back in 1995, Buena Vista Interactive made a fantastic Sega Genesis game. It's called Gargoyles, and at GDubs92 on Twitter, or Garrett recommended that we talk about this game. I recently checked it out on my Mega SG, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. And it has some of that beautiful kind of hand-drawn animation that we saw in games like Aladdin for the Sega Genesis or Earthworm Jim. It just feels like the cartoon has come to life. It's based on that old animated TV series. You play one of the gargoyles named Goliath, and you got to fight Vikings, and you've got this dystopian kind of nightmare world. You're going up against creatures that have been animated by some magical artifacts, and you've got to just take down all kinds of enemies in some horrific gargoyle type ways. And of course, there's lots of platforming action in there, which can get a little tricky, I have to be honest, especially the further away you get from this game, and how much mechanics have changed in platforming games, but in all video games in general. Did feel a little bit like I had to learn how to walk again as I was playing through this game, but it was gorgeous. Once you get the feel of the double jumps and the floats, and because you're a big gargoyle with these huge wings, it just is so unbelievably well crafted. It's hard not to play a game like this and just appreciate, especially because we were already talking about the original PlayStation in 1995. So, 16-bit was sort of trailing off, but the artistry of the developers that had really come to know the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo was really evident by the mid-90s. By 1994, 1995, the games were incredible, and this is one of the best of the mid-90s that was released on any platform. Gargoyles for the Sega Genesis. It's been a long time since that show was on the air, but this is one not to be forgotten. It's absolutely a buried treasure. Yeah, we somehow magically, through no fault of ours this time, we don't know what's happening. I can't connect to Marissa. I keep trying, but I've texted her, and I've sent her some stuff over Skype. So we're going to do something a little bit different right now. We're just going to do a little Q&A section. So anybody in our crowd here can ask any questions that you want to. Maybe let's try to keep it E3 related, because E3 is the peripheral right now. It's right on the horizon there. Next week we will be there. Oh, see, I did a little bit of this, and suddenly, let's see if she's back.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Marissa Roberto, everybody! Yay! Live on the internet. No pressure, no stress. How are you? What happened?
No, I had internet the whole time. It was my phone. It just went blank. And then I got the dial. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, technology. Technology works until it doesn't. Look at you. It's great to see you. I miss you very much. How are you?
I miss you too. Good. Clearly stressed, but I'm good.
This is what we go through every Monday, Wednesday, Friday when we make the EP live. It's just like this. Tell me how many shows you make now, because I can't keep up with you.
I know. And I have the brilliant idea last week, and I'm going to write a new show, and then I'm up till 3 a.m. just writing the script for it. So I just launched a new show today. On Squad State. So
okay.
Squad is live right now. I produce a show called Unmuted, which is basically pardon the interruption if you like sports.
Okay,
pardon the interruption, but with a mute button and with esports. So it's just Brody and I arguing, which we do every day anyway.
Right.
And we have a mute button to shut the other one up for 30 seconds if needed. And then a show called Esports in 30 that we do I host one every Friday. And then now a new show where we're just sipping tea and we're gossiping about all the drama happening in esports, because there is a lot, and they put it all on their Twitter. These kids have no filter. So it's called No Filter. And then I host a show for SportsCenter, so TSN SportsCenter on their Instagram. Every morning I just go there and I shoot before I go to my other studio. It's 3 minutes, sports, just a lot of memes, just like the way I want to ingest sports. 3 minutes on Instagram, TSN stories every weekday.
We have got a big show to go to next week.
Yeah.
And how many E3s is this for you now? How many have you gone to?
I was trying to do the math because that first E3 was, I just told a story about it on Twitter because it was not my favorite. But every other one with EP was amazing. I think this is my 6th year or 7th.
7th? Very good.
Possibly.
Awesome.
That first year was not with you guys, and then the rest were with you guys, so it was good.
Are you working for Xbox or Squad State or?
Oh yeah. So
and Sports Center too? Are you doing some?
No. I am going for Squad. We're doing some stuff with Walmart Canada, and some stuff for Xbox, and then I'm doing a couple hits I think for ESPN because they're doing some stuff there as well.
Oh,
it's
fantastic.
just one of those things where it's like, oh, do you have time? I mean, you just kind of like try to squeeze it into your schedule while you go to your appointments, and then just after there's like a Fortnite thing happening after that where it's like their esports thing, and then there's going to be a Call of Duty esports thing happening in Anaheim just after that. So I'm trying to just like get to as much as I can while we're there.
Are you staying for the Call of Duty esports weekend then?
Yes.
Right on.
I'm going to Anaheim because that's going to be in Anaheim, so it's about an hour away.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so I know that you're big into the esports world right now. Is everything that you're excited about at E3 related to esports, or is there stuff that you're super psyched for? I know that there's an Animal Crossing game. I don't know if you want to talk about Animal Crossing, but here's your chance right here.
That is literally at the very top of my list, Animal Crossing. But the thing is, like, Nintendo keeps doing this thing where, like, every single time they show me a Nintendo Direct, it's always been disappointing to me, and I think it's just because they haven't shown me any Animal Crossing at all. And
Right.
Everybody in chat's just like, just a little taste of it. Just get. I don't care if it's like Isabelle just saying hi, and she's not in Smash. It's just Isabelle prepping for the new game that we're getting into. Like, I just want something. So I feel like this is gonna be the year, but I say that all the time. So this should be the year. I feel like you know something, Vic, because you did your pre-E3 stuff.
Well, Nintendo wasn't there, but they have shown a little bit of everything else that's coming, except for Animal Crossing in a big sort of direct kind of deal. Maybe that's because we're wondering what are they going to surprise us with, and maybe it's going to be what we're going to be doing in Animal Crossing. Would that make you very happy?
I would be so delighted because every year Nintendo has a themed booth. So
Yes.
last year it was Smash, I believe, Smash Ultimate, and the year before that was Super Mario Odyssey.
Yep.
So I don't know.
And
what
Zelda
it would
before
be.
that.
The Zelda before that, yep. So I don't know what it would be this year, but they have to be on brand and on theme. So, oh my gosh, if it was an Animal Crossing Wonderland, I would just cancel all my appointments and stay at the Nintendo the whole time. Even for Xbox, like I would make them come to me at Nintendo, and we would just do his thing.
So that's going to go over so well at Xbox. But actually,
They're friends now.
Xbox
They're
publishes
friends
on Nintendo now. It's like they're nice to everybody. They play with everybody.
Exactly.
Does that make it more fun for you working with Xbox? You can talk about anything now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and it was always that way. Like they told me from the beginning, like listen, I mean, obviously we don't cover a lot of Sony stuff here, but they knew that I love Nintendo. They know that my favorite console is my Switch. I always talk about it. I always talk about games that I'm playing on it. So, no, they were always, and even people that work with Xbox here in Canada, they tweet about like PlayStation games they get. They talk about other stuff. It's just kind of like the Sony people that don't talk about other things. But I feel like Xbox
Right.
is like, welcoming and loving. And
See,
let's all
she's
just
still
play
throwing a little shade at PlayStation people. She still managed to get a little dig in there. Some good work there. That's nice.
But you know me, Vicky. You know that I was kind of always that way with
Yeah.
with PlayStation. Don't you remember my PS4? It would never work for me. Why? Why? Like why?
This segment brought to you by Xbox. No, I think that's great, and that's the truth of it too, and that's what Jeff was able to do at the awards. When he brought all of the three big wigs up on stage, and it's I think it's kind of the beginning of a new era for video games in a way, right? And Xbox is embodying that. Do you know what they're going to show us? Do you have any? Do you have any
don't
secrets?
exactly.
Now's your chance.
They honestly keep everything from me. They treat me like a fan. Like I don't sign any NDAs. I don't know anything until I get there.
Wow.
They did say, I know they said that there's going to be 14 first party titles they were going to be talking about on stage. So that's very exciting. I always get hyped for those pressers. And the
Yep.
fact that we only really have theirs as the big boy coming to play at E3 this year is also exciting. That's the only thing that we could really like fully get hyped about and fully look forward to is sitting, in that theater and taking it all in versus, I mean, obviously we have the other boys there too, but it's not, there's no Sony, there's no Nintendo now. And so when you heard that, when Sony wasn't going to be doing a presser, what did you think?
It's heartbreaking, and I don't think of E3 as just a way to hype the games. I think of it as a way to get the whole business together, to
Yes.
kind of share the enthusiasm for the medium and to celebrate. And then there's a bit of there's media around that, which I think engenders positive stories around this medium. And I think the more that we separate it by even by the geography that Xbox is not on the show floor and they're in the theater, and EA puts their press conference on a Saturday, and then you take Sony right out of that equation. I think every time we rip it apart like that, it has a little less meaning. And I feel like it's kind of in a treacherous place right now. It feels like, very fragile. It feels like it could disappear, and I don't want it to. I want it to be kind of like it needs to evolve, it needs to change, and they're trying with the fan stuff. But I feel like it should be kind of like the Cannes Film Festival. It should be a chance to celebrate all these people that dream up these big things and make magic for us.
Oh yeah, of course. I know, but then you got to think of the money. Like you got to think of
I
how
know.
much money they're spending to do all this stuff. And I understand Sony not doing. Like I figured it was gonna happen. The thing is, like Nintendo, we always make fun of Nintendo because like they're crazy and they do crazy things, and like they're not doing a presser anymore. Remember, we were all just all so upset about it. They weren't gonna do a presser anymore. What were they thinking? And then every presser before that, they would just be a laughing stock because they came out with like Wii Music or whatever it was that we all laughed at. But they've always set a trend. So the fact that Nintendo did that years ago, we kind of knew that the dominoes would fall eventually for these other big conferences because there's so much work to put together. Like,
Right.
putting together big stage shows, like it takes so much time, so much manpower to put these things together, and then all people do is troll it online. So like, why bother almost?
Yeah, except it can be worth it. You can look at the business and sense of it, but it can be worth it. And I think it's like a week where everybody has their eyes and their attention on this business, and
Yeah.
I think we need that. Otherwise it's scattered all over the place, which I think this sort of fractious world that we're in with video games is part of the problem. It's really hard to know what's new and what's out there, and what's coming up, what to be excited about, because it's so spread out all over the place right now.
Yeah, it's true, actually. I know, we're becoming more and more secluded, even though we have this wonderful thing called the internet that can connect us all, but we all just separate. We all do our own thing, and we all just
Yes.
become, ingrained. Even like in the esports world, the other games don't like hang out with each other. Like the players on each side don't play with each other. They just stick with their game, and they live in their own bubbles, and it's not like it's all just separated. So, yeah, no, you're right. I do. That's the thing I look forward to most now with E3. It's not so much the games that we're going to see, because it's always just so much. Like it's a sensory overload. You're trying to get as much in as possible and see as many people as possible. But I look forward to the people that you see, because this is the one time. It's Geek Christmas. We always say it, but we
Yep.
get to just see each other and like hug and to have a couple drinks and talk about our lives and the games that we're playing and get excited about the new things that we're going to get to play.
Yeah.
So it does keep you young, that's for sure. But the more time you go, you feel older.
It creates a roadmap of the things to look forward to and the work that you're going to do if you're in this business. So let's talk a little bit about that. So we know you want Animal Crossing. What else are you hoping for or hyped for? I know you love Skyrim. Do you want a new Elder Scrolls announcement?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I was talking about this with one of my interns, and he's like, they're not going to give you anything else. I'm like, what are you talking about? They teased us last year with just letting us know that it was happening. They're making it. Something's going on. So we're definitely going to get a trailer, right? Like, we have to get something. Because that Oblivion was my first experience with Elder Scrolls, and that completely changed my life as a gamer, because I was a Nintendo girl through and through. Like, it was just platforming. It was Mario. It was my Animal Crossing. That was it. So for me to have experienced that and know what a true RPG is, and really live in a world like that, blew my mind. So Skyrim was just like the next level of, I am taking work off and I am staying at home and I'm living in my PJs and I'm living in this world. So
That was work, Marissa. That was what we were doing. We were working on reviewing those things. It's all good.
That's true. I don't think I was supposed to review that game though, Vic. I think I was just.
Oh, right. It
casually
could have been
saying
Stephen Raju. I think we all reviewed that game, didn't we? Reviewed it.
that. Yeah. It came out on every single platform, so probably.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we got new Elder Scrolls, we got new Animal Crossing for you. What else do you want to see? New Uncharted. I know you got a crush on Nathan Drake.
I do have a crush on Nathan Drake, but I don't.
Oh, we're not going to see Uncharted. Look, I made the boo-boo right there. There's no PlayStation. No PlayStation for you.
Yeah, but they're still going to do like a direct or whatever they're not gonna.
Nothing to do with E3. And here's the saddest part about this. Nobody from Sony is allowed to go to E3. Nobody that works at Sony in any of its PlayStation divisions is going to be at E3, even to support the other developers or to do some espionage to see whatever. They're not going to be there, which is incredible, right? Like, it's so hard to comprehend that. That's a massive chunk of the business, you know? We used to spend hours in the PlayStation booth.
That can't be real. That's
okay,
not real.
all right.
No, Vic,
I'm just making it up.
Crazy.
No, it's
that's
right.
Crazy.
Yeah, I heard that.
Like that. Okay, but it's got to be because they're doing their own thing, the PlayStation experience, right? So they're just going to segregate and do that, and just shun E3 and shun everybody that goes to E3. And then the thing is, like, they're going to pull so many fanboys away from E3. That's the saddest part, because so many fanboys only care about Sony.
That's what Disney did with the D23 and not going to Comic-Con. And now Warner Brothers isn't at Hall H this year at Comic-Con, and it sounds like they're working on something too. This is what I don't want. I want all the game companies to get together and reveal stuff at the same time. It's exciting because they don't reveal at PAX, you know, and Gamescom is after E3, so it's not really like a big news thing. But E3, it's like, poosh, the world's cameras are trained, right?
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. Maybe it's just the eventuality of these types of things. Because, like, even think about getting a hotel during E3 right now. Like, the prices are astronomical. Like, everything just inflates. So it can only inflate, and that this world can only inflate so much before it bursts in some way. So maybe this was just always meant to happen. Like, maybe this is the way it's supposed to be. Not supposed to be, but this is the way life kind of evolves. And now we're going to just all be separate and sad.
Okay. That's very Jedi of you. I like
that.
It's
just very, sorry, my outlook is very bleak.
Jamie's got a question.
Okay.
Could this be an opportunity for other game developers to shine with the backing that Sony's providing?
Yeah, Jamie's asking if this is going to be a way for other game developers to kind of get a little bit more of attention out there. Certainly, this is Xbox's opportunity to not drop the ball in any way, shape, or form, right? This is like, here you go, open door, knock our socks off, you know?
For sure.
And Nintendo's got that opportunity as well. But I you know what I think? Sony will stealth release some press releases, or, you know, they will say, especially after we hear all of the Xbox announcements, we might hear a couple of things about the PlayStation 5. Yeah. Not the big reveal. Yeah.
Maybe. I do like that point, though, only because it does. This is an opportunity for other developers, like I'm talking indie developers, anybody like just kind of that falls by the wayside when we think about E3, when we think about the big publishers. You know, if it's not Square Enix and it's not, you know, EA, or EA even broke off too, like they're doing their own thing. So it's the little guys that need to get attention too. But like I have to be honest, when I'm making my appointments for E3, I only have time for the big guys, and the smaller guys just kind of, like, they almost disappear. So yes, this is a good time. Like, maybe with all the big boys away, maybe we'll still get together and we can still celebrate games, but in this, like, for the games that don't get the attention they should.
Well, and the other challenge of it all too is how much all the media, sites and channels and different outlets out there are struggling to keep up with all of this as well. It's just, there is a lot of, there's a lot of little companies with indie developers and smaller titles and stuff, and you just can't get. My schedule is packed. I do have an EA visit for the Jedi Fallen Order, so I cannot wait. I think I get some hands-on with that. So I'm glad that EA brought that to the convention center, because the word on the street was EA Play was going to wrap up. That was it, but they are bringing Star Wars to E3, so I'm psyched about that.
Yeah, you gotta have Star Wars. I know you love that.
Yes.
It's not a game that I play, but I know you love it, and I'm happy for you.
Are you? Thanks, Emrob. What other thing that we don't know that you love are you excited for?
That we don't know.
Plants
that I love.
Plants vs Zombies.
Is EA gonna show off more Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare?
No.
Garden Warfare 3?
Yeah, Ruby likes Plants vs Zombies too. Yeah, no, it's not yet.
No, it's not. I know it's not gonna happen. I mean, I was excited about a new Ori, so hopefully we will. I maybe get some more hands-on time with that. I don't know, like. It's tough for me to say things that it's so crazy for me because I know we always need to like look forward and what we're excited about, what we're going to get to see, but like I still have to finish Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Like, like I still have games that I need to finish, and everyone's like listing games that we're so excited about. Yes, but like, guys, what? Half of these games I haven't even played.
You have a bunch of PlayStation 3 games I notice you need to finish. Behind you.
Okay, that's my PS3. That's my
Look at those
PS4.
Wii U titles collecting dust right there. You gotta get to that Zombie U, Marissa. What's happening? You're excited about Zombie U at E3 2019. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I know. Okay, listen, my other side is on Nintendo. Don't worry. But yeah, no, I haven't touched really half of those, and a lot of them are downloadable now. And did you hear that this the Minecraft story mode that Telltale made is not even going to be available anymore if you didn't download it? If you paid for it, you can't even get it anymore if you didn't download it onto your console. Like, that is so sad that these developers are shutting down, and we don't even get to experience their art anymore. Like, something that was so beautiful. How could a company that made such beautiful things?
You know what would help that? If there was more attention on video game makers. At a thing like E3, where you put all the cameras and you get everybody talking about how cool video games are.
Right, but then I don't know. But then why aren't people buying games? We're gonna get into a whole thing here, but like, is it because they're just watching on Twitch? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I think we're in a transitional phase right now. The business is sort of morphing into something else, and there's going to be a lot of streaming solutions. Our buddy Jade is working over at Stadia, and they're trying to disrupt the whole business, and the business, and Microsoft is trying to disrupt the whole business. You know,
with Sony.
With Sony, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to find out about being able to play these console. Like, we'll probably play. I see you've got the Halo collection up there. I think we'll be playing the next Halo on whatever screen we want. We won't even need to have an Xbox.
I am actually very good thing about Halo, because I am excited about a new Halo. For all the shooters out there, Halo was the only one that I could really pick up and get into and just get the mechanics of. I used to not be able to control or just get too, I don't know, I guess excited. You're panicked because you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. Halo was the first one that I could get into and really love and understand, and so I'm excited about that. But I'm also excited about the Halo scene because it's really, I don't know, the light has been so dim on it for so long now because there hasn't been anything truly new for Master Chief, for the esports scene. It really needs it. It needs life, and this new Halo is going to do that for them, and I'm excited about that. Also, new Gears. That's exciting too, and the team that makes Gears is incredible.
I think they're gonna rock, man. They killed it on 4, and they were relatively safe with the scope, but I think all bets are off, and they're gonna make something incredible with the next one. How awesome! This is from Megascorcher.com. I don't know if you know them, but it says how awesome is TSN? This is somebody that works at TSN right now. This might be your boss asking how awesome TSN is.
TSN is amazing. I love it because I get to go there in the morning when it's really quiet. There's nobody in the newsroom. I'm just kind of one of the first people in there with my producer and the boys from Bar Down, and the boys from Bar Down are hilarious. So we just get to be together in the newsroom where they shoot Sports Center, but it's just us, and we're just doing the show, putting it together quickly, and then I'm like, hey, bye guys, gotta go, thanks so much, and I just peace out by 10:45, 11, and then I get to see the show put together on Instagram at 3 p.m. So I freaking love it. I'm over the moon with TSN.
I always said you should be doing some sports stuff, so I'm very happy that's happening for you. Got a question from Blair Farrell. Do you follow any of the FGC esports?
Yes, of course. Oh my God, FGC. I love fighting game community. I'm actually I have it on my screen right now because it's FGC Day on Squad State. So I love FGC. I think they need more love. And if we're talking about E3 and bringing it back to E3, there is going to be a Smash Ultimate competition, but the FGC communities, like the Melee community, the Ultimate community, is upset because Nintendo never gives them any love. They always just expect that they're going to take care of themselves. And they just showed this too at E3 because they're actually going to be playing in a tournament. They invite players to come play in an ultimate tournament, but they play with items on. And if you play with items on, then it no longer is that competitive action. Like you just have the items kind of just ruin it for competition. So they're not happy about it. But we are going to see some players there, which is exciting. But I love the FGC because they're so grassroots and they're always hype.
Awesome.
Always hype.
Got another one from where was it? It was Sword and Shield. Blade Blur. What are your thoughts on Sword and Shield? Did you watch the Pokemon Sword and Shield Direct today?
I didn't see it yet. Oh my God! Spoilers.
She's waiting for the esports version of Pokemon.
No, I'm not. What did you think when they announced Pokemon Sleep?
Pardon me?
What did you think when they announced Pokemon Sleep? Did you see
I
that?
think it's it's about turning it into a life that you just can't leave.
I know.
Who would have predicted the rampant success of Pokemon as a brand to begin with?
Oh my goodness.
It's just infiltrated and like it cycles back in and out and it just keeps perpetuating. It's incredible. What a story the whole Pokemon thing is, It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And people are still playing Pokemon Go. Like
I know. It's massive.
Every day, millions of people. I know.
And look at how influential that game is. Jamie's got another question.
For people wanting to get into game casting, what skills has she learned along the way
Ah.
that she would recommend?
For game casting, what skills have you learned along the way that you would recommend to people? So you're talking about calling out games and casting when you're watching an esports tournament?
Yeah, I guess it just depends. It works the same with, sports commentators. You need to have a wealth of knowledge, but also like little stories that you can share in between. So you need to decide if you want to be a commentator and like call the action happening, or if you want to do color, which is like someone that takes their time, is patient, and then waits for an opening in the casting to jump in with a little anecdote. And then, but it also it's mostly just patience, because you might have a little quip that you want to use, but the caster's still going, and you've missed your opportunity to use it. You've got to let it go. It's a lot of like patience and letting things go. That's my biggest advice for that. But also just practicing, like watching a tournament. If you're into FGC, there's so many tournaments happening all the time on Twitch. Literally just watch it, put the volume completely down, and call it yourself and record yourself and play it back, and then try to get better each time.
Got it? Okay, all right. And this is the last question. This one's from the Clax123. Do you think that Cyberpunk will be out in 2019?
Oh my gosh, that's the one I want to talk about.
What do you think? Oh, look at that. That's awesome. That's worth like $9,000 right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I saw people were selling after E3. I'm like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
First of all, that's disrespectful because they gave this to us. And
I know. It's art. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I love this girl so much. I'm so excited. I think CD Projekt Red, their development team is absolutely incredible.
Yep.
Just getting a little taste of it. We had like an hour demo we sat through last year. So anything from them, honestly, I'm over the moon with that. I'm so excited about that game.
It won't be out this year. We get another hour-long demo this year, I think. And I don't think there's any hands-on either. So if they don't give you hands-on, usually it doesn't come out in that same year. But we're all psyched about that, and we are so psyched that you are killing it in Toronto. We miss you very much in Vancouver. You'd be sitting right here, by the way, right here, every day on EP Live if you were out in Vancouver. But when you come back, we'll have you on in the flesh, in person.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that so much. Thank you so much for having me.
And I'll definitely come and hang out with you guys the next time I'm in Toronto.
Yeah, of course.
Shout out to everybody on your teams.
Yes. Wait, my teams?
Yeah, on your teams.
Oh my
you have
gosh,
many.
yes, for sure. Guys, please hit up TSN's Instagram, like every day at 3 p.m. Also, Squad State on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Squad State. Every weekday.
There she is, plugging away. That's great. And I will see you next week in Los Angeles. Yeah. Thank you, Marissa Roberto. Big round of applause to our friend. Yes, great to see you. Okay, everybody, that's going to do it for our episode of EP Live today. Thank you so much for watching. We had two fantastic guests, and Marissa's just going to be hanging out in the background there. It's awesome. They're there. But we will be back on Friday with a brand new EP Live for you, so please come back. And until then, make sure you play forever.